915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the Borderland. This is 915 Talk, and I am your host, Andy Frecker. We are broadcasting live from the heart of the world's largest borderplex, the KELP radio studios here in El Paso on this beautiful March 27th, year of our Lord, 2025. We have Mac Daddy Del Norte on the board today. Mac Daddy Del Norte, how you doing today?
I'm great, Andy. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. It's a beautiful day, you know.
It actually is.
You know, I'm getting used to El Paso. I'm learning about El Paso, and one of the things I've learned, we have beautiful weather 3 days out of the year. and so we need to enjoy those days. That this is one of those days.
Yes,
you know, when it's not a high of 40 and not a high of 140.
Yep.
Somewhere in between, we enjoy those days. So of course I'm exaggerating, but it is a beautiful day out. And Mac Daddy Del Norte, I have a question for you today.
All right.
What do you think the point of 915 Talk is?
It is to learn. That's what it is.
Okay. And why do we want to learn?
Well, so we could be knowledgeable, have things to talk about.
Right.
And that way we can share information with the Borderland and community.
Okay. You're getting close. You're getting close.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, what else?
Well, you know what we say always at the end, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbor, and give God all the glory, right?
Right.
And as we learn all these things about the city, what I want to see is folks all around El Paso kind of getting involved, kind of getting excited, enjoying living here, even on the days when it's too hot or too cold.
Yes.
There's a lot of cool things going on. So today we do have a very special guest. Do you know why he's a special guest, Mac Daddy Del Norte?
Ooh, let me see if I get this right today. Excuse me.
He's looking at his phone, guys. This is cheating.
Hey, don't expose me.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't know.
I do not know.
He is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God. That's right.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the number one
That's
reason.
what I was looking for.
Yeah. Oh, also, before I get into our special guest, I do need to mention that we changed the name of our YouTube channel.
We did, actually.
Yeah, we did. You worked on that.
Definitely. Yep.
So one of the things you can do if you're a listener to really help us out, and it requires just a minute of your time, is you go onto YouTube and find the 915 Talk YouTube channel and just hit like and subscribe. Watch a couple of the videos. That helps us out as we're trying to get the word out. So the name of the 915, this is going to be a little bit funny, but the name of the 915 Talk YouTube channel is 915 Talk. We just realized all of the videos on there are just 915 Talk, so we renamed the channel.
Definitely.
So that's why we did that. Also, Malachi, the Italian prophet, my second born son, is running. So we have we're on YouTube Live right now on 915 Talk. We're on the KELP Radio Facebook page. If you're at home, you don't have to listen to the radio. You can watch the radio. And today we're going to be having our guest is special, not just because he's a unique expression of an endlessly creative God, but really his life exemplifies what we're all about at 915 Talk as we try to learn to love our community, be involved, of course, with our churches, but also in the community. Today we're going to be talking about the El Paso Citizens Police Academy. Would you like to sign up, Mac Daddy Del Norte?
No, thank you.
Oh, no. Well, we'll see if that changes by the end of this conversation. He's also been a retail manager for 41 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Retail manager?
Mac Daddy Del Norte, he was the manager of a store you don't even know about because you're too young.
Oh, okay.
Montgomery Ward.
Oh, no. I don't recognize that name.
People my age and older will definitely recognize it. He was a manager there. He was just telling me he had 50 assistant managers. And he's also active in his local church. I was just at his church this last Sunday, Calvary Chapel, El Paso over on Zaragoza, and two of their pastors were in here on Monday. Really a vibrant church, really a lot of fun to be there. And so today we're going to be talking about the police academy. We're going to be talking about community. We're going to be talking about some of the events he's been working on creating. So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only, Mr. David Doherty. David, welcome to 915 Talk.
Well, thank you for having me, Andy. Really appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, and before we get into the El Paso Citizens Police Academy, before we get into retail, before we get into community events, there is something about you that I think might be the most important thing. You were my guiding light. You were the one. You are a true son of the Borderland, and you were the one who took me to try my first bowl of menudo. And it was right there. It said in front of the restaurant. I actually saw it when I drove out. There was a sign. It said El Paso's best menudo, I think according to the El Paso Times. But you told me it's actually the second best bowl of menudo in El Paso.
Definitely.
Yeah, so what's the best bowl of menudo if you only took me for the second best bowl?
The best bowl of menudo is at my house.
Oh,
It's made by my wife.
okay. Your wife makes the best menudo in El Paso. Mac Daddy Del Norte's dying because he loves menudo.
I love
Yeah,
menudo.
yeah. So what is the key to a good bowl of menudo?
Well, it's all about taste, obviously. We talked
Right.
about this a little bit on Sunday when we broke bread as brothers. And I particularly like it spicy.
Uh-huh.
So the spicier, the better.
Right?
But I do appreciate, I like it heavy on the hominy, which you saw me do that
Right.
day, right? But I mean, the meat, it's got to be cut small. 'Cause
Right.
The worst thing for me is to sit there and fight with that meat,
Right?
you know? And then you've got to have the bread to sop it up, man. You just got to
The
have
bread to sop it up.
You got to
Yeah.
sop up that sauce and get the oregano going in there, get some more chili pepper in there, and just kind of eat it till when you're sweating, and then life is golden.
And you were saying something about how the tripe has to be well cleaned.
Yes, that's particularly important to avoid the aroma while it's preparing.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
that's when it's most important.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. We put in some all kinds of stuff you put on
yeah.
there. Chopped onions, some lime. It was actually reminding me of pho, the Vietnamese soup where you also had a lot of things. Totally different flavor, totally different thing. But I enjoyed it. I had the big bowl of menudo. And then that evening, my stomach wasn't upset, but just a little bit of a rumble.
Okay,
And
I
I-
meant to ask you too.
Yeah, and I was standing there, and I was to my wife. I was like, "Oh, my stomach just a little bit, and then it hit me. Maybe it had something to do with the 3 gallons of chickpeas I'd had for lunch.
That's probably not the best combination.
Right, yeah. So, but I definitely enjoyed it. Thank you for the menudo.
You're welcome.
It was mi pueblita.
Mi Pueblito, yes,
Yeah,
that's
over,
correct. Yeah.
over on Pueblito.
Pueblito.
Yeah, over on Treywood. So we enjoyed that. But we're not going to spend an entire hour talking about menudo. But
Well, I certainly could. Okay.
yeah, our listeners, our regular listeners know that I've been on a journey, and you were a big part of it. So I did need to give them that update. So I do want to jump into the El Paso Citizens Police Academy. You're wearing an El Paso Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association shirt. You started to tell me about it on Sunday. I guess just starting off, what is it?
All right. So essentially what the Alumni Association is a group of individuals that have attended the actual Citizens Police Academy.
Okay.
All right. After you've attended the Citizens Academy, you can branch up in various other areas to continue your work, either with the El Paso Police Department, possibly state troopers, or within doing some other volunteer opportunities that are also part of it.
Okay.
And I can get into those a little bit separately here. But we will be having one that's starting here in April. It'll start April 22nd. That's the first Tuesday after the Easter holiday.
Okay.
And we will start it off. It's about 8 courses long. It takes about 4 weeks to complete.
Okay.
So they're pretty intensive. It's about a 3-hour session. We do it 2 nights a week. And on the last couple of weeks, we actually switch up. I'm having 2 nights. It's usually Tuesday and Thursdays. We usually go Tuesday and Saturdays. The
Okay.
reason for that is because we actually go to the actual police academy up on the mountain on Scenic Drive.
Right.
And we introduce you to some of the things that the officers use there, some of their toys. You get
Right.
you get exposure to many departments. We have up there on the mountain, we'll have SWAT come out here, and they'll actually do a presentation for everybody there. You don't get to blow anything up, but you do get to witness something get blown up. So it's
Right.
pretty cool in itself.
Uh-huh.
And they'll cover a little bit about what they do and why they do it. We also go up there a separate weekend when we go up to the gun range. And again, they'll teach you a little bit about safely using firearms and talk a little bit about why the officers use what they use when they have to deploy a certain measure.
Right.
And then they'll actually invite our academy members to the range, and if they'd like to try something that the officers carry on their belt, they're more than free to do so.
Right.
So if you actually go to our webpage, Instagram, wherever you want to go, you'll see photos of past academies. So this academy coming up is actually, I want to say it's the 9th academy since its inception. The organization itself started in 95.
Okay.
Okay. That's when the El Paso Police Department created our organization. In 97, that particular class created the organization as it is today.
Okay.
And before you ask, no, I wasn't there in 1997.
You were busy managing a Montgomery ward or
That's
some
actually
other
right.
store.
That's about the time frame I was there. That's right.
Yeah, I got you. So yeah, it's funny for me because I live in Central El Paso, and the police academy and its gun range is right up on Scenic, and it happened several times where I was standing outside my house and I'm like, that's gunfire. And it took me a while to figure out that it was actually the police academy and everything's okay, so, but the safest place that guns could have possibly be going off. As far as the gun course, like what is that similar to like a concealed carry course?
Well, it's not a full blown LTC type of course.
Right.
Okay, that's really different. This is more just to kind of give people exposure to what they use.
Right.
And they'll about an hour's worth of the class is about just instruction, letting you guys know as academy participants,
Yeah.
if and when and why they would have to use these resources, right?
Right.
Then afterwards, they invite us to go out there, and you can try one if you've never fired a shotgun before and you want to try it. That's the best time to do it. You've
Right.
got a member, typically from SWAT, up there with you, and they talk you through it. They show you the correct way of handling it. They will typically load it for you and that stuff, but they'll make sure that you're pointing it in the right direction,
Right.
that you're holding it the proper way. Same thing goes with any of the other firearms that you may want to try that day.
Right. So it's so the community can have a really in-depth understanding of law enforcement. Is it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is basically your look behind the curtain.
Okay.
Okay, and we've got several classes that people find really interesting. We actually kick it off with a visit to the 911 center.
Oh wow.
And if you've never been to the 911
I
center,
haven't.
Okay, that in itself is an experience. I don't know how many people we've had that have actually gone through our academy. Okay,
Yeah.
they show up there and they have this preconceived notion
Yeah.
of things. Like maybe I call and nobody answers, or they have me on hold forever, or whatever the case may
Right.
be. Right.
Yeah.
And then they get there. And again, it always starts off with a introduction.
Yeah.
They'll explain what's going on. They'll give you information and about what you're about to witness, right? And then there'll be a little Q&A.
Yeah.
And then at which time they'll take you to the floor, and they'll give you a tour of the facility. You'll actually be in the 911 center. You'll be right outside the fusion center, which is an area that it's pretty. I guess we'll call it very private. And that's actually where the police officers that are working with officers that are in the field
Okay.
are located. You don't ever really go in there.
It's like a dispatch?
It is a dispatch. And actually, when you're in the 911 center, there's dispatch for every entity there is. I mean, you can have a Paso Sheriff's Department there.
Right.
You'll have a Paso PD.
Oh,
You'll
it's
have
all
a
in
Paso
one
Fire
place.
Department there.
Yeah.
You'll even have...
Where is that?
they are located off a railroad in Northeast El Paso.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not at the Central Police
No.
Station or any, okay.
Actually, there's an older one prior to them building the one out there.
Yeah.
A few years back, they used to be located downtown.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, my kids sometimes make fun of me because I've ended up in situations where I have to call 911 more often than most people. It wasn't me, but I was driving down Yandell and I saw an abandoned house on fire, and no one else was calling. And even the neighbors next door were just sitting there, unaware that the house right next to them was on fire. And then another time was for a medical emergency for a family member. And then I saw a car get stolen out of a grocery store parking lot on Montana. I was just standing there and I saw it happen. And so it is interesting because I do think that the 911 center is great. I have been on hold a couple times where they haven't picked it up. So you kind of casually mentioned that. What is the situation there?
Well, if they haven't answered, in all likelihood, it's just the influx of calls
Right.
that are coming in. But
Yeah.
once you're on, if you were to attend this, you'd actually go into this room and you'd see the number of monitors that they have in front of them. They're able to talk to you. They're typing on multiple keyboards at the same time. They may be engaging with you because they've got you on the phone, right? And they're talking to you and they're typing stuff. And
Right,
then
right.
they're already working on who needs to be
Yeah.
dispatched. Is it a fire call? Is it an
Yeah.
EMT call? Is it a police call?
Right.
You know, is it outside? Is it in Horizon City? Does it have to be diverted to the Horizon City Police Department?
Right.
You know, is it outside in the county? You know,
Sure.
so they've got to kind of figure out what's going on while a person is calling that is probably in some sort of distress.
Right.
You know, could have been in an accident. Something could be going on that's really dramatic. So, you know, you're trying to get that information.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's always a great way to kick this off because so many people have so many misconceptions.
right.
You know, everybody goes in with a preconceived notion of what all this that we're going to teach them is about.
Uh-huh.
And when they finally get done, they're like, man, I didn't know that.
Right. Right.
But that's why we always start there.
Right.
Because that's what 99.99% of people walk out of there. I mean, they're obviously impressed by the facility because the facility is incredible.
Uh-huh.
But the amount of work, the commitment of the people that work there,
Yeah.
you know, because it's not easy. You know,
Yeah.
they're listening to a lot of stuff. They're dealing with a lot of stuff, you know, all at the same time. And you go from dealing with one set of one emergency to another emergency to another emergency and so forth on down the line, right? And something can be super easy. Something's going to be pretty dramatic.
Right. Yeah. And I think with 911, I'm always impressed at how they keep everything under control emotionally. I'm distressed. I'm emotional. And of course, those golden words, help is on the way. You know, you're just like, okay, I've done my job. At least I've made the call, you know. But that's just one part of the El Paso
just one
Citizens
part.
Police Academy. So why do people sign up for this?
I think there's a variety of reasons why people will do it. Some people, you get some people that just are looking for something to do, and that looks like a fun thing to do. You have
Right.
some people that maybe have a family member that has been an officer, is going to be an officer, and they want to get some background. That was
Right.
my particular case,
Yeah.
which drew me into the academy many years ago. And anywhere in between, you know, you've got retired police officers, you know, that want to continue being part of something.
Right.
So they, in turn, go do that. We've got we currently have an actual an officer from San Bernardino Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
He retired, relocated to El Paso, and he actually went through our academy last year. And he's actually part of one of our.
He's like, that's what I was doing all those years.
That's what he's doing all those years. Yeah, it was really cool. And he actually went through our academy, and a lot of it was, you know, repetitive for him to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But there were some new nuances that he had not been exposed to previously.
Right.
And then now he's actually part of one of the areas that a lot of people branch off into once they go through our academy, and it's called VIPS. That stands for Volunteers in Patrol.
Okay.
Okay. And in order to become a VIP, you have to have gone through the academy. And then there's some additional training that goes along. I shouldn't say some, there's quite a bit of additional training.
Right.
And when I say volunteers in patrol, exactly that. You will have Paso Citizen Academy members that are now VIPs that have been trained further that are actually in a patrol car. It looks like a normal patrol car. The only difference is it says volunteer on the side of it. And obviously they don't have capabilities to make arrests and things of that nature,
Yeah.
but they are the eyes and ears of the officers. So these cars roam around town just like our units do. And if they see something, they hear something, then they say something. you know?
Right.
So that's one of our particular volunteer opportunities that the department has that a
Interesting.
lot of our graduates like to kind of continue that into.
Right.
And then there's so many areas where a person can go into. You can continue on with us with the Alumni Association, which is basically just spreading the word, trying to get people to come on in and learn a little bit more about what these gentlemen and women do every day.
Right.
You know, because it's a hard job. It's a challenging job.
Sure.
You know, and then you have, you know, the opposite side. You can just decide you want to go into one of the other areas of volunteerism, and you can find all these on the El Paso City .gov website. That's
Sure.
actually how you apply for the Citizens Police
Okay,
Academy.
so elpasocity.gov.
Yeah, you go to elpasotexas.gov, and you
Paso.
go to Texas.
Uh-huh.
.gov. You go to the police department tab,
Mm-hmm.
and underneath there, it's called community policing. That's the
Okay.
tab you're looking for, and you're going to see our Citizens Academy in there,
Uh-huh.
and that's where they would apply for if they're interested in attending this one that's happening on April 22nd.
Okay.
It runs April 22nd through May 15th. Those
Uh-huh.
are the dates, and if they're interested in doing that, they can also peruse some of the other volunteer opportunities that are within the department, because you'd be surprised how many things you can do to help out in your community, to give back in a certain way. If you had
Right.
if you had a gift that you used for many years, you were and you're a retired individual in particular, and you've got some time and you want to give back to your community, it's a great place to do so.
Right, for sure. Yeah, so I want to get more into the intersection of faith and community. First, we're going to take a break. Again, we're with David Doherty, just really someone who, you know, as 915 Talk, we talk about, you know, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbor, give God all the glory. This is someone who I believe exemplifies all of that. And hearing about what he's doing, and I know that law enforcement is really on close to near and dear to many of our listeners' hearts. So I'm glad we're learning about the El Paso Citizens Police Academy. Before we go into break, I do want to remind our listeners, 915 Talk is listener supported, and it is a production of Desert Voice Media. And, you know, airtime costs money. And if you want to join with us in this, any amount really, really helps and is a huge encouragement for us. To do that, just go to desertvoice.media. That's the website, desertvoice.media. And we put a giant green donate button so you wouldn't miss it. You could just click on that, and you can just do a one-time or a monthly. Everyone does a different thing. You know, whatever is on your heart to do. Really appreciate those of you who have joined with us in this. We really want to serve our community. That's why we're here. So without further ado, we're going to go into break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Thank you for joining us for these daily conversations on 915 Talk. We believe that these community-centered discussions are key for us to learn how to better serve our city and love our neighbors. 915 Talk is listener-supported and is produced by Desert Voice Media. Your support matters as we endeavor to serve our community. Our website is desertvoice.media. That's right, that's the webpage, desertvoice.media. Your donation of any amount on desertvoice.media provides the fuel for this broadcast. Let's learn together to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
Hey, this is Pastor Ricky Alcantara from Better News Radio right here in El Paso, Texas. And I want to extend a special invitation to you to join us on Easter Sunday. Our church, Cross of Grace, is going to be gathering in a special off-site service at McKelligan Canyon. We hope to fill up that amphitheater with people singing about and hearing about the good news of Jesus Christ. You can find more information on our special Easter service at crossofgrace.net.
Don't worry about it right now.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
And we're back. This is 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. We're with our guest today, David Doherty. We've been talking about the El Paso Citizens Police Academy. And David, you know what I was thinking about is, you know, well, first of all, during the break, you handed me the syllabus. And it is interesting of the last course. It's DPS air support. So does everyone get to fly on a chopper and change?
You won't get to fly on it, but you will get to experience it. You get to get on it. You get to hang out with it, and you'll be there with both the pilots, along with I guess we'll just call him the sharpshooter.
Okay.
That's what he is,
Oh, wow.
essentially, and that's who will be hosting this class for you.
Oh, wow. Very
And they'll
cool.
take you through a lot of their equipment that they use, and you'll see this again if you go to our website, which is elpasocp3a.org. You can see some of the photos from some of the previous classes.
Very cool.
And you'll see some of the photos that were taken there of them
Right.
when they're doing their presentation.
Yeah, if I did a Google search today, if you just search for El Paso Citizens Police Academy, the Alumni Association site will pop up. You can look at some of those. Before I ask the next question, I do want to remind our listeners that we are not providing any legal advice during this program. This is just for informational purposes only. But I am curious because there is the civilian response to active shooter events, and that's part of the course. I think that's super useful because people don't know how to respond. What is one thing that you learned during that portion of the course?
I think the hardest thing for somebody to learn is to remain calm. You know, when you start with that, I mean, because it's something that's going to happen like that.
Yeah.
When you least expect it, it's going to happen.
Right.
So when you go through it, that's going to probably be the hardest thing to do, because it's the hardest thing to do in anything is to maintain your composure when things around you aren't going as they should be going, right?
Right.
But the CRACE training, it's a great training. It's done with our liaison, Sergeant Zambrano, along with with other members of the city that come from Crime Stoppers.
Right. Okay. Very, very cool. And then as we talk about, as we kind of get into the subject of where faith and community intersect, one thought that crossed my mind is, you know, here at the radio station, we do have a program called 915 Pray, where we pray for the 915 every day at 9:15 a.m., 9:15 p.m. I hope people are listening, joining in. If you don't have time at that time of day, you can listen to past prayer requests at desertvoice.media. I'll just throw that little plug in there. But often we do spend a whole week praying for law enforcement. Wouldn't it be great to have folks just go through this course so they know better how to pray for law enforcement?
Definitely.
Yeah, that's one part. But the second part is, I was just thinking, what if every church just sent one person to this course? What would they be able to go back to their church and kind of help their church understand how the community works, how to be safer, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
I don't know anybody that walked away from this course, and I've been doing this for 3 years now, as the president of the organization, and everybody that's gone through the program,
yeah,
irregardless of their background,
right.
and some have had some law enforcement, some have had no law enforcement,
Yeah.
and everything in between. And we have them from age 18. That's been my youngest graduate, because you've got to be minimally 18 years of age to attend. The oldest graduate was 80.
80. Okay.
So don't let age, I guess, deter you from
Right.
this, because it's not like you're going to be running up mountains and things of that nature.
Right.
This is
You're not
very
joining the SWAT team.
informational.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
you're not.
yeah.
You know, but you're going to walk away a different person,
Yeah.
having learned a lot of the intricacies of our El Paso Police Department, and for that matter, even the Texas DPS.
The laser shot demo.
Oh yeah, that's part of Range Day.
Okay.
So Range Day is separated into two facets. One is, I guess, three facets, if you talk about the training.
Yeah.
So you got the training piece, then you got the range piece, and then you got what we call the Milo system.
Okay.
All right, the Milo system is basically the laser game.
Okay.
All right, and you were put through real life scenarios with the officers controlling the situation, and you're in a room kind of like this, a set, right? And it's a 3-screen set that's in there, and they kind of set it up for you. They'll tell you, okay, this is what you're going to kind of walk into, right? You might be a domestic thing, may just be a traffic stop, whatever it may be, right?
Right.
And then they turn you loose. Okay, they will have shown you how to use the sidearm that they give you, because you're going to have a sidearm to determine if you use it or don't use it, and
Wow.
and they're going to they're going to show you the placement of your rounds if you do decide to discharge the weapon at the screen, right?
Wow.
And they'll ask you questions about.
So that's
your
the
actions.
laser.
That's the laser.
Okay. Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
But it's
We're
an
not shooting
incredible
live
tool.
rounds.
No, you're not shooting live rounds. The only live round action is if you shoot on the range.
Right.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and you're just shooting at targets downrange.
Love it. Yeah, so I'm the syllabus is quite impressive for the El Paso Citizens Police Academy. Love learning about this. But before we go any further, we're going to learn about what's going on the roads. Charlie 1, what are you seeing out on the roads today? Charlie 1?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm here, Randy, and some things to cover right now. On the freeway, we have a crash, I-10 west at Loveland. This collision involving about 3 or 4 cars is off on the right shoulder, but we have looky-loo spectator delays slowing down the traffic there in that area right there, I-10 west at Loveland. In central Alabama and Wheeling, we have a crash. Now, this one, PD not there yet. They're going out there, so it's not PD controlled, Alabama and Wheeling. Closures going on, quite a few of them. First of all, Gate West at Hawkins Center Lane taken away there. Gate West at Americas take away the right lane for construction. In the valley, Alameda West and Zaragoza right lane taken away. And there's a lot of closures going on, so extra caution. But the main thing is I-10 west at Loveland with that right shoulder with that crash and spectator delays there. And Andy, back to you.
There, you have a camera on Alabama and Wheeling, Charlie 1?
I don't, but TxDOT does.
Oh, love it. Love it. So, Charlie 1, get this. My guest today is the one who took me to Mi Pueblito on Sunday. So tell everyone about Mi Pueblito.
Oh, yeah. Mi Pueblito, if you haven't enjoyed their menudo, not only the menudo, but they have a great staff. They're very friendly, very amiable, and they'll just treat you really great there at Mi Pueblito. They have not only the menudo, which you can enjoy, but they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner specials, the vegetarian option if you choose, and all kinds of comida corrida lunch specials. But that menudo, delicious there, hits the spot.
Yeah.
Mi Pueblito Cafe, 3120 Traywood, Andy.
Yeah, well, I know it hit the spot for me on Sunday. And also a reminder to our listeners, if you have a chip or crack on your windshield, check out the fine folks at AlamoGlassPros.com. Really good people. And get that tinting on your windshield so you don't get into a wreck. There's a lot of sun we're about to experience the next few months. Thank you, Charlie 1. We'll talk later.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah. So we're back with David Doherty. We've been talking about the El Paso Citizens Police Academy. Quite an impressive lineup in the syllabus. Super cool. Tomorrow we will post this conversation under the 915 talk link on desertvoice.media, and we'll put all the links that we've been discussing. So that you can, if you're interested, you can learn more about the El Paso Citizens Police Academy. I want to talk about totally switching gears here. David, you've been 41 years as a retail manager. You told me you were the manager of Montgomery Ward over at Cielo Vista. You had 50 assistant managers.
At the time.
Yeah, at the time, yes, of course. But there aren't very many assistant managers in Montgomery Ward anymore. But Mac Daddy Del Norte has never even heard of Montgomery Ward. So it's interesting for me because I'm new to El Paso, and you're still in retail, just to see how much the consumer power of Juarez is evident here in El Paso. Is that something you've witnessed throughout your entire 41 years?
Oh, definitely. Like I said, I've been doing this 41 years, the majority of it in El Paso. Different stores, different companies, different size retail locations. But yes, the consumer from Ciudad Juarez has always played an intricate part of our success. This is the Borderplex, and it's named as such because of the community between our sister countries. Sure. Including even if you consider Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's very interesting to me. Just to, if I pull into Cielo Vista, particularly on a weekend or a busy time of day, a lot of Chihuahua plates there. And you go to other parts of the country and retail stores are dying in a lot of places. And I think here it kind of keeps it alive, maybe in some places. I don't know.
Regarding retail in El Paso, I've always told my staffs wherever I've been in these years is very often El Paso comes out to the shopping centers and the malls and so forth as a form of entertainment.
Right.
They'll come out here. They wanna take a look around and see what each store may have, whatever retailer may be offering. But it's an experience.
Right.
They want to come out and meet people. They want to come and talk to people about whatever it is they're selling within those four walls, right? And I always tell my group of people that work for me currently is really the only thing that makes us any different than anywhere else that sells the product we're selling is you guys.
Right.
All right. I've always, as corny as this is going to sound, they're the secret sauce.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you go and the folks working there are kind, you'll go back, and there's probably something to learn for churches as well.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's the same thing. It's the same principle. It's all about people.
Right.
You were talking to me when we had a break a while ago, and 41 years, and I said, it's always been about the people. No matter what I do, whether it's with the Alumni Association or in retail, it's always about people. I love serving others. I like connecting and communicating with people. Now that I've been at this for as long as I have, I love mentoring and teaching and developing young leaders, as I call them. Man, of course, when you're my age, young is not as young as it used to be. Yeah.
Right. No, that's great. I love it. And I have talked a lot on this program about my personal journey and how when I moved to El Paso, I had moved from overseas, and it just struck me how people in America are not really meeting as much together in real life. And retail is one of the places where we get out of the house, where, there's something certainly to be said for the convenience of being able to order things online, but just getting out of the house, moving around a little bit, interacting with other people, I do believe that's a healthier way to live. But beyond all that, you also organized a community event last summer.
I did.
Yeah.
We organized as the Alumni Association. We actually partnered with an organization called Faith and Blue.
Okay, Faith in Blue.
Faith and Blue.
Oh, Faith and Blue. Gotcha.
Faith and Blue. And to kind of just surmise what the event is, it's basically houses of worship coming together with your local law enforcement and just coming together in prayer over the city, over the community. And our focus last year was around violence in the city. Okay. There had been a little bit of an uptick, and we wanted to make it part of the focus. Right. So I put together, and I should, I and the Lord, because this is all Him. When I took this on, it was done in about less than 2 months, and it was very much He and I, a while there, it didn't look like it was going to happen. And I said, Lord, if this is going to happen, it's going to happen because this is what you want to do. And sure enough, we had several pastors. We had a pastor that actually came all the way from Virginia to speak at this event. So we had 4 pastors that provided sermons that day. Right. We had several groups that from different churches that were there as well, providing praise and worship to our Lord that day.
Mac Daddy Del Norte was leading.
Daddy Del Norte was there, and he did a great job.
Worship. Yeah.
Again, if you can check him out on our Instagram, guys. He's in there, and you may not know who he is. I'll circle him later. So you guys know who Mac Daddy is. But it was a phenomenal experience.
Right.
When it all ended, we actually held at a Veterans Park last year, which, if you're not familiar with, it's a pretty large park in Northeast El Paso. And in all honesty, it may have been a little bit too big for our event, but it was just a beautiful day. It was a little warm out, but we had the police department there. We actually opened it up to vendors. We had food trucks there. We had vendors selling various items. We opened it up we invited churches from all over the city, because that was the vision that was put on my heart, is that we needed to have people there. We were already delivering a message from up top, whether it be through song or word.
Right.
But I wanted that message to convey, and I wanted people to connect with other churches, if not those same churches that were present there speaking that day. Right. So that way the message would not just fall and just, okay, where do I go from here? How do I connect? Right. So we had a few churches that took advantage of that. So I'm in prayer this year, because this is something we want to do again. It takes place in October. That is when Faith and Blue Week is. Yeah. You can hold it anytime you want to during the month of October. There is a specific weekend in October, I believe. Don't quote me yet, because I haven't actually looked at the calendar, but I think it's the 13th or 14th of October.
Right, okay.
It's the weekend, I believe, this year.
Yeah.
And
that's fortunate for El Paso, because it's not triple-digit weather.
Yeah, it was still pretty warm, though.
Yeah, it was toasty. I was there. My son rapped a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. And, as far as, getting back to, my journey, if I can talk about that again, but that's part of the reason I came to this station, was because I saw that we needed to bring people together in real life, and you look at media, modern media would love nothing more than for every individual in America and in the world to be in their own room with their own device, watching a different program. but we're faith-based. We believe in a God who calls people together. And so that's part of our vision here at this radio station, is to bring people together in real life. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is great. This is something that we need to be talking about. People need to hear about. So I love that you did that. Faith in Blue. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but first we're going to go into a break. Before we go into the break, just a shout out to Caring Companions, KELP Radio Impact Partner. If you have an elderly relative who needs help at home, check out caringcompanionsep.com. Really good people over there. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. 915.
Testify.
I used to be a very angry person at the world, being young, having kids, having a wife, being a father, just meeting those expectations that the world puts on you. It's not about the world, it's about, your relationship with God. And I didn't realize that until I was older, and because I was living a life that I shouldn't have been living a sinful life, living for the flesh instead of living for God. I was hanging around people I probably shouldn't have hung around with, drinking, going out to parties, and coming home like 2, 3 in the morning. There was one day that I completely broke down. My son was asking me like, Dad, how come you're like this? How come you're always mad? And yeah, that day I did end up bringing out my Bible. I just broke down and started crying, because I felt the way Paul felt. Read your Bible, guys. If you don't know what to read, go into Proverbs, go into Psalms. God, He's protected me in so many different ways. He's the reason why I'm here. I'm trying to help other people reach God. He could truly change your life. My name is Miguel Ipave. I'm from El Paso, and if Jesus did this for me, I know He could definitely do it for you.
And they overcame Him by the blood of the Lamb
And by the word of their testimony.
KELPradio.com.
Are you looking for a Bible teaching church on the west side of El Paso? This is Terry Gray, pastor of Calvary Chapel Sun City and speaker on the Summons broadcast, heard each weekday at 5 p.m. here on this station. Calvary Chapel Sun City is located at 960 West Borderland Road on the west side of El Paso. We hold services on Wednesday evenings at 7 and on Sunday mornings at 9 and 11. You can find out more information about us on the web at www.ccsuncity.org. The Lord bless you, my friends.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. Again, 915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of desertvoice.media. To learn more, you can visit desertvoice.media. Join with us. We really appreciate your support. Today we're with David Doherty. We've been talking about the El Paso Citizens Police Academy. We talked a little bit about retail, Montgomery Wards, for those of you who remember it. I most certainly do. I remember hiding in the clothes racks in Montgomery Wards as a young boy back in the 80s. But then we were talking about the Faith in Blue event that happened last year. David was organizing that. And during the break, you were talking about a lady who came to that event.
Yes, that's correct. So when we were out there doing our event and hosting it, I'm very big into social media now, and I feel I guess it's a devil's advocate, I guess, of sorts, because you've got some people that'll say it's the worst thing and some people will say it's the best thing. It depends how you use it, right?
Sure.
But in this particular day, we were doing some live feeds from it. And we had one of our guest pastors up on stage, and he was presenting his message, and he did a powerful message. So powerful that a woman showed up probably about 30 or so minutes after his sermon. We had other pastors and performers up on stage that had been there, and I noticed her up on stage, I think like 2 or 3 people later, 2 or 3 acts later, performers later, and I didn't know who she was, and I just saw her, and she was up there praising and worshiping and singing to the Lord. And so didn't pay much mind to it at that point. I figured she was with them. Then I noticed she was up there again. Then I noticed she was up there again. And at this time I was like, okay, who is this person that's behind everybody? So I went and I asked her, and at first she thought she was in trouble. Because I asked her, are you okay? They no, I don't. Am I in trouble? Can I be back here? And I said, well, what is it that you're doing here first? So she explained to me that while she was listening to our first pastor speak.
Was it Pastor Wendell?
It was Pastor Wendell Powers, yes, from a live fellowship.
Okay.
And he did a great job, okay? And he just delivered a fabulous message. Again, our address was around the violence that was being experienced in El Paso at the time.
Right.
And he just did a great job of connecting what El Paso was feeling at the time, what we felt in the past a few years back, and what's been going on. And he tied it in scripturally just so beautifully. And it moved her so much that she had to get there.
Right.
She didn't drive. She was about a 20-minute or so drive away. She was a little bit older, and she was waking up her son, who was passed out. And mind you, this is probably about 11:30 in the morning or so that she's trying to wake him up. And first he didn't want to get up. And finally, she, okay, fine, I'll take you, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
So he drives her down there. She gets off the car, and she's been, I don't know if praying, but I'm going to go with asking the Lord that, gosh, I hope he stays with me.
Right.
And he didn't stay with her. He went back home, but that didn't stop her. She went and she started listening to the messages. And as she's telling me her story, she is bawling. And, she just felt so alive. She just felt the Spirit moving with her. And she didn't know how to verbalize any of this to me. She had, other than the story. And then she just went on to share other things that had been transpiring in her life, how her life had seemed so dark, and she was so disconnected, and she just felt, this heavy weight of oppression on her life for the last year.
Right.
And this one day she's sitting on her couch scrolling Instagram, and she just happens to come across us. How great is our Lord for that to happen for this individual.
Right.
So that was one of our great stories that we had from that event. Another one, we actually had a young lady who showed up a little bit later in the day as we were going through this, and we were going to offer an altar call at the end of the event where we were going to be baptizing individuals that were interested in doing so.
Sure.
And she showed up. She had never been baptized. She had never asked the Lord to come into her life. And she did that day.
Wow.
So, I mean, how great is that?
Yeah.
So when this kind of just fell into my lap, I had no idea. 6 weeks before this, I had never heard of Faith in Blue. All right. El Paso had held one, and it was a small one previously, but I had never heard of it. And just through word of mouth, it came to me, and then I was like, this is a no-brainer.
Right.
I'm passionate about my Lord and Savior, and I'm passionate about serving the community in this particular way through our academy.
Right.
What better way than to bring them both together to Faith in Blue?
Sure.
And it was just an incredible experience. We had, like I mentioned we had vendors there. I've got vendors calling me now, texting me, emailing me, talking to me through Instagram, through direct message, and say, hey, when are we going back? Are we going back? We want to be there. Yeah. I've got some that are even saying, you know what? We don't even need to sell. I just want to experience what we experienced that day.
Wow.
We were in this big park, and they all, at the end of it all, I went to check on them and just thank them all for having been there with us. And all of them said, no, thank you. What are you talking about? The feeling that I'm leaving here with today, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else.
Right.
I sell my wares everywhere.
Yeah.
But there was something special today in this park in Northeast El Paso.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. And may this be a challenge to the faith community out there, the churches. It was a lot of work to set up. It was a lot of work. And 6 weeks earlier, you hadn't even heard of the event.
No.
And 6 weeks later, there's someone being baptized.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it worth it. So love it. And I love how you're, I know you're active in your church. I love how you're active with El Paso Citizens Police Academy. I love how you're creating this event that kind of is an intersection of those two.
Yes.
Faith in Blue. In the middle of all this, what would your challenge be to the churches of El Paso?
I would like it to be bigger. I would like to see more connections. And 1 member, 2 members, 3 members, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
Whether you want to speak on stage, whether you want to perform on stage, whether you just want to pitch a tent and pray with people. That's all fine.
Yeah.
Just be there.
Sure.
Be present.
Yeah.
You know, the Lord said, feed my flock.
Yeah. Well, David, you are a true son of the Borderland. And so I think it's important. We have a little bit of a tradition here on 915 Talk. We don't do it every day. But we do it for the extra special guests.
Okay.
And it's where I ask a question and you give the first answer that comes into your mind. And since we are faith-based radio, we are Christian radio, we do believe in right and wrong answers. Okay. But also because we're Christian, we try not to be judgmental if you're wrong. So without further ado, Mac Daddy Del Norte, cue up the lightning round.
Oh, my goodness.
So David Doherty, first question. It's a culinary question. It's a question that you are asked when you go out to eat. Red or green?
Red.
Oh, I'm not sure about... Okay, so yeah, I enjoy the green. So that's kind of our running joke.
You know, I would have actually asked which is spicier.
Oh.
That would have been my question.
Yeah, so red is spicier, right?
Typically.
Yeah, typically.
So I'm going to go with the spicier one. It's back to my menudo, man.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And where's your favorite place to answer that question?
My favorite place to answer that question?
Red or green?
Oof.
If you could answer...
Andale.
Andale. Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you, Mac Daddy.
All right, next question. Let's say you have a special guest coming to El Paso. They've never been here before. And you want to show them something about the city to truly impress them. And so you don't put them up at the Motel 6 like you normally would. Mm-hmm. They're staying at your home. Where is someplace you'll take them to impress them with El Paso that's not a restaurant?
Scenic Drive.
Scenic Drive, that is correct. All right, next question gets a little bit more difficult. Downtown is being revived. It's a totally different place than it was 20, 25 years ago. And the central square, the plaza, has a theme with a statue in the middle. What is the statue of?
The alligators.
Alligators, that is correct. You don't get applause for that.
They used to be live alligators.
Yes, they did used to be live alligators. I love all these stories. I'm sure most of them are true, but some of them are. But regardless whether they're true or not, they're legendary about the live alligators. Next question. How many alligators are in that statue?
3.
That is not correct.
Okay.
But I have to tell you this because you haven't been listening to 915 Talk, but that's going to change after this. I have been saying that 3 is the correct answer for almost a year.
Is it 2?
No. I recently went there with my wife. We were walking around, just enjoying walking around downtown El Paso after dropping Malachi off for a rehearsal at the Abraham Chavez. He's pretty uptown, Malachi, our son. And so we're just kind of walking around, and I looked at it, and I said, it's not 3 alligators. I've been telling everyone on the radio this for a whole year. We walked around it. I just kept on staring. I couldn't believe it. There's 4. There's one in the back, kind of like you don't notice it at first. So 3 is fair. Fair. All right. So next question. At the beginning of this program, we say the world is looking at El Paso. What will we say to the world? What is one thing about El Paso that people who are not from El Paso do not know about this city?
The friendliness of the people.
I love it. Love it. And final question of the lightning round, David. What is your dream or your prayer for community in El Paso?
Oh, that's a tough one. My prayer is that El Paso will come together under our Lord and understand that peace only comes by Him.
Amen to that. Amen. Love it. David, I really appreciate you coming in today. Just a reminder, we've been talking about the El Paso Citizens Police Academy. Tomorrow, this conversation will be posted under the 915 Talk link on desertvoice.media. We'll share a lot of the links that we've been talking about, how to get involved with the El Paso Citizens Police Academy. When is the deadline for the next course?
The deadline is the 31st, which is next Monday.
Okay.
Okay, so the link again is elpasocp3a.org. You'll log in there, and you can go there, or you can apply directly with the El Paso Police Department at El Paso City.
El Paso, Texas.
ElPasoTexas.gov. Again, you would go to the police department tab, then look under community policing, and then you'll find the application directly there. That's actually the quickest way to do it right now.
Right. Okay. Love it. And love all the work you've been doing in retail, just being out there meeting everyone from our Borderland community. And of course, Faith in Blue, this event, and looking forward to seeing how the Lord leads you this fall. We'll definitely be sharing that with people when we get closer to that here on 915 Talk. Again, just a word of exhortation, particularly to the faith community. Let's get outside of our homes and occasionally outside of our churches and come together as a community and just interact, serve one another, get to know one another. Amen. So, David, again, I really appreciate you coming in today. This has been a super fun and informative conversation, so thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and as we always say at the end of 915 Talk, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbor, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. In order to listen to previous editions of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media. Let's learn together to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.